Welcome to the fantasy audiobook, Ninja World, Against the Sky Comprehension, created Yin Dun Sage Art. Chapter 1, Ninja World, Nation of Fire, Konoha Village, Ninja School. The teacher on the stage is giving a lecture, and the students below are paying attention. In the corner of the classroom by the window, commonly known as the throne of the king, sat a handsome boy with black hair and black eyes. He held his chin and stared at the scenery outside the window in a daze, not listening to the content of the lecture at all. The boy's name is Chao Yixing, a time traveler, and it has been 12 years since he came to this world. Yixing came from a commoner family and did not have any strong bloodlines. And his parents died in the Nine Tails Rebellion, so it can be said that the protagonist buff is stacked at the beginning. Unfortunately, the protagonist of this world is not him. It's a class younger than him, and he masters a kind of vortex Naruto called the secret technique of the other day's mouth. Yixing's talent is not good, it can only be said to be mediocre. In each assessment, his grades can only be ranked in the middle and lower reaches of the class. Although netizens in the previous life jokingly said that the most terrifying ninja world is the genin of Konoha Village. But that specifically refers to Sasuke, who is reincarnated by Indra, and Naruto, who is reincarnated by Ashura. With Yixing's aptitude, even if he wanted to be promoted to Jonin, it would be an unattainable luxury. The ninja world is such a cruel place that pays attention to the theory of blood. Even Kakashi, one of the most outstanding talents in the history of Konoha Village, had to rely on Kamui Mangekyo to qualify for the final Armageddon. The teacher on the stage noticed that Yixing below did not listen carefully to the lecture, but did not reprimand him, only showing a bit of helplessness in his eyes. The situation of this student is very special. In terms of theoretical knowledge, Yixing is a rare genius who always gets full marks. Even the ninja school teacher with the name of Chunin had to ask this student for advice on such a profound topic as chakra's nature transformation and the attribute fusion of blood succession limit. But when it comes to practice, Yixing is not so good at it. Even the most basic three-body technique, he barely mastered it, slightly better than Rock Lee, who only knows physical skills. The teacher looked at Yixing, who was looking out of the window in a daze, and felt very sorry in his heart. With the opponent's mind, if his own talent is better, he will definitely be able to make a big difference in the future. Unfortunately, fate tricks people. Yixing looked at the scenery outside the window, his eyes became a little complicated. The current Konoha village is peaceful, and the ninja world is also in a period of peace. On the surface, there is no danger. But as a time traveler, he knew that in about a year and a half, Orochimaru would launch the Konoha Honkai plan. It is true that in the original plot, none of the 12 Xiaoqiang died. The problem is that during that catastrophe, many people died in Konoha Village, most of them were secondary characters, so there is no special introduction. According to the current development, there is a high probability that he will also appear on the long death list. After all, the ninja world is a world dominated by extraordinary power. Even if he is a traverser, if he is not strong enough, his life will still be like duckweed in the rain, erratic. Strength, we must improve our own strength as soon as possible. Just as Yixing had this idea, a cold mechanical voice sounded in his mind. Ding! Congratulations, you have obtained the full level understanding talent. Hearing this voice, he frowned slightly, the first reaction in his heart. Illusion. But after thinking about it, the hallucinations and auditory hallucinations created by the illusion are all based on the caster's own construction. How could the natives of the ninja world come up with such a thing? Could it be that after 12 years, the necessary cheat for time travelers finally came? He tentatively asked a few words in his heart, but he didn't get the slightest response. It seems that this is not a cheat like the system, but simply raised his comprehension to the full level. Full level comprehension talent. He didn't know whether the so-called comprehension was related to the aptitude for practicing ninjutsu. Does this mean that no matter how difficult the technique is, as long as one's hard conditions meet the standard, one can learn it in a second? If this is the case, it is really strong to pervert. In order to confirm this conjecture, Yixing silently recalled the various tips of the three-body technique in his heart. He felt his brain become extremely clear. When practicing the three-body technique in the past, it was as hazy as seeing flowers through a fog, but now it is as clear as holding a magnifying glass. The flow of chakra, which meridians it should pass through, and the way it should run, were all realized in an instant. In just a few seconds, the mechanical sound sounded again. Congratulations, you have deduced the three-body technique, and your mastery of it has reached a flawless level. The full level of comprehension did not disappoint him. Although the three-body technique is the foundation of the foundation, it only takes a few seconds to achieve flawless mastery, which is still amazing. At the same time, during the deduction process, Yixing felt a sense of enlightenment. Transformation technique, body replacement technique, and clone technique without entity are used to confuse the enemy and guide the opponent to reveal their flaws in the battle. Since the three-body techniques have the same effect in essence, is it possible to combine these three techniques to produce an effect where 1 + 1 is greater than 2? Congratulations, you have gained a unique understanding of the three-body technique during the deduction process, and you have realized it, the perfect level of deception. At this moment, Yixing realized that the full-level comprehension talent is stronger than he expected. As long as you add some of your own understanding during the deduction process, you can create a brand new unique ninjutsu. The perfect level of deception is the combination of transformation technique, body replacement technique, and clone technique into one to confuse the enemy. It can be said that this is a ninjutsu. It can also be called the perfect application of three-body technique. At this time, the teacher on the podium put down the book and said to the students in the classroom, "There are 3 days left, and it's time for the graduation assessment. For those who are not proficient in three-body technique and shuriken, remember to practice more. If you fail, you will have to repeat the grade." Hearing the word repeat, almost all the students in the classroom turned their attention to a boy with a watermelon-rind hairstyle and thick eyebrows. Surely he's going to repeat a grade. Sure, I can't pass the usual exams, and if I get nervous tomorrow, I'll be screwed. Just repeat the grade. You don't even know ninjutsu, but you still want to be a ninja. Isn't that funny? Listening to the whispers of his classmates, Rock Lee couldn't help clenching his fists, with an expression of unwillingness and a bit of disappointment. He has worked hard, but he has no talent at all in ninjutsu and illusion. With physical skills alone, you may be able to become a unique ninja, but if you don't know the three-body technique, you won't pass the test. Okay, let's leave school. After announcing the date of the graduation exam, the teacher left the classroom with the book in one arm. They will graduate from school soon and officially become a ninja. The students all seem a little excited. Yixing stood up and walked towards the door of the classroom. On the way, he passed Xiao Li's seat, stopped, reached out and patted Xiao Li's shoulder. "Don't worry, you will become a ninja." It was the first time Xiao Li heard such words, wiped his eye sockets and raised his head, raised a thumbs up to Yixing, revealing a big shiny white face. "Student Yixing, thank you for your support, I will not let you down." Hearing his words, a white-eyed boy sitting in the distance snorted coldly. "The fate of a person is doomed at birth. You are not made to be a ninja, so you should give up as soon as possible." Xiao Li's two thick eyebrows were frowned, and his face revealed a firm expression. "Student Neji, I will prove to you that hard work can beat genius." HMPH, it's so naive to a little childish. Yixing ignored the argument between Neji and Xiao Li, left the school directly, and returned to his home. For him who now has a full level of comprehension, the graduation assessment items are not difficult at all. However, talent is only one thing. As the saying goes, a clever woman cannot cook without rice. No matter how strong the comprehension ability is, it is impossible to comprehend powerful ninjutsu just by looking at the scenery. If you want to become stronger as soon as possible, and possess the strength enough to protect yourself in Konoha Honkai plan, you have to think carefully. How to maximize the effect of full-level comprehension. My current advantage is that no matter how difficult the technique is, I can quickly master it in a short period of time. And in the process of deduction, new insights can also be generated, thereby creating more powerful techniques. Scrolls that record ninjutsu cannot be obtained casually. Common people like Yi Xing's family is not very rich. The scrolls that recorded the escapism were very expensive, and he couldn't afford them at all. Besides, things like family secrets and forbidden technique, no matter how rich you are, you can't buy them. Lineage and class are the two major divides in this Hokage world. At this time, Yixing suddenly remembered. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, at the annual ninja school's entrance ceremony, will give a speech about the will of fire. Similarly, at the time of each graduation, he will also find time to come and watch. In Konoha village, there are only 2 departments that have access to the forbidden technique and those family secrets. One is the root organization led by Danzo. The other is affiliated to Anbu, the research department responsible for the development and research of ninjutsu as the director before Orochimaru's defection. As long as he enters these 2 departments, with his full-level savvy talent, he will soon be able to master powerful ninjutsu such as Flying Thunder God, multiple shadow clone, tandem paper bombs, and impure world reincarnation. In this way, when the Konoha collapse plan comes, at least self-protection will not be a problem. The question now is how to show a talent that Sarutobi Hiruzen cannot ignore in the graduation assessment, so that he can get the opportunity to join the scientific research department. I remember, there seemed to be a few scrolls of wind-style ninjutsu at home. Yi Xing muttered something to himself, then entered the bedroom and opened an old small wooden box. There were several scrolls neatly placed inside. He unfolded it and laid it out on the desktop. The content that was obscure and difficult to understand before was now like a preschooler's script, and he knew what it meant at a glance. Before I knew it, the sky outside had darkened. Congratulations, you have comprehended wind style. Breakthrough, wind style. Split wind palm, wind style. Vacuum sphere. Yi Xing doesn't have the pervert level of chakra like Naruto. Even if he masters these 3 ninjutsu, he can't use them at this stage. His goal is not to learn wind style. The familiar sense of enlightenment reappeared. Congratulations, you have gained a new understanding during the deduction process and created a clone of wind style. Hearing the success notification, Yi Xing couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief. Full-level comprehension, really powerful. In addition to the most basic clone technique, there are also advanced clone techniques with entities in the ninja world. Such as the shadow clone with no attributes, the thunder clone of chakra with the thunder attribute, the Naraku clone created by illusion, and the special sand clone of Gaara that ordinary people cannot learn. Only, there is no clone technique with wind attribute. By combining the breakthrough of wind style with the basic clone technique, he successfully comprehended the clone of wind style. Once this clone is broken by the enemy, it will burst out a sharp wind blade. Even a Jonin-level powerhouse would have a hard time avoiding it at close range. If Yi Xing wants to enter Anbu, which has strict admission standards as a ninja school student, he must show a talent that shocked Sarutobi Hiruzen. What could be more suitable than self-made ninjutsu? The harvest of this deduction is more than that. Most importantly, it provides a heaven-defying understanding of the development direction. Yi Xing has a big brain hole. Since he can combine the wind attribute chakra with the clone technique, it should be feasible to change it to other things. For example, fire clone technique. Or, detonator clone, Amaterasu clone. Relying on his own heaven-defying savvy, even 2 simple ninjutsu can be played well in Yi Xing's hands. 3 days later, ninja school. The assessment of shuriken skills has been completed. Through deduction, Yi Xing's ninja throwing technique has reached the full level. Even the famous genius Uchiha Itachi, who is extremely good at shuriken, is slightly inferior compared to him. Of course, he didn't show his full strength, but he passed the assessment with fairly good results. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who is wearing a royal robe and a bamboo hat, is watching the assessment of this year's students accompanied by several Anbu members. He has a kind smile on his face, just like a kind old grandfather, which greatly increases the favor of this Hokage grandfather among the ninja school students who have not been deeply involved in the world. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked into the distance. The boy in white practice uniform with a pair of white eyes couldn't help shaking his head helplessly. This year's students are really disappointing. To say that there is real potential and the possibility of becoming a top player in the future is only the boy named Neji who was born in the Hyuga branch house. Other students are just average. What a sophisticated figure Sarutobi Hiruzen is, his speech at the entrance ceremony every year, and his personal inspection of the graduation audit. The purpose is very simple. Take control of the ninja school and take control of the future of Konoha village. Showing up twice a year can deepen this group of students' affection for me. Why not do such an easy thing? Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen seemed to be still paying attention to the assessment on the field, and his mind had already flown to another classroom. The next year's class of students are all heavyweights. Ino Shikacho, Inazuka, Aburame, and Hyuga are the heirs of the wealthy families, as well as Uchiha's orphan Sasuke, and 4th Hokage's son, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Naruto. These students must focus on training. Sarutobi Hiruzen is already thinking about which jonin they should assign to lead the team. At this moment, the head teacher looked at the list in his hand and said slowly. Next, Chaowu Yixing. Yixing went out to the open space. Rock Lee gave him a thumbs up and shouted. Student Yixing, come on. Not only Xiao Li, but Tian Tian, who had 2 buns tied into his head and looked very cute, also smiled. Come on, pass and treat you to dinner. Although Yixing's strength is average, but because of his handsome appearance and very mature style of handling things, he is very popular among the girls in the ninja school. Let's start. Yixing nodded, formed a seal, and first displayed the transformation technique, turning into the appearance of Rock Lee. The teacher in charge stepped forward to observe, and muttered something. Well, not bad, the body shape is exactly the same, the facial features are a bit different, but they are considered excellent. The graduation examination of ninja school is not difficult. According to normal requirements, the transformation technique must at least make it impossible for others to see its flaws at a glance, so that it can be regarded as a successful cultivation. In the assessment, as long as they become so similar, they can pass. Afterwards, Yixing performed the body replacement technique again, and also reached the standard with an excellent result. Next, it's the main event. Thinking this way, he formed a seal with his hands. The students not far away were a little surprised when they saw this, and whispered to each other. Hey, isn't that the seal of clone technique? Is he so nervous that he even forgot how to tie the seal? This time I will definitely repeat the grade. At this time, Yixing had already mobilized the chakra in his body. Following a burst of white smoke, everyone saw a clone that looked exactly like him, and it actually appeared. Even the well-informed ninja school teacher was dumbfounded. He has led so many students, what kind of genius has he not seen? But it's the first time I've seen someone who can successfully perform ninjutsu despite making the wrong seal. The teacher's cheek twitched, and he leaned closer to take a look, and couldn't help being shocked. Yixing's clone technique is so perfect. There is no flaw in even the subtleties. He nodded in satisfaction, walked to the other Yixing, patted the other person on the shoulder, and smiled. Not bad, full marks. At this time, Yixing's voice came from behind him. Teacher, why are you talking to my avatar? The ninja school teacher turned his head and took a look, only to see that Yixing, who he thought was his clone, was looking at him helplessly. What's the situation? Are you, Mama? If not. The teacher looked confused and felt very embarrassed. A chunin with a reputation was actually deceived by the student's clone technique, and even patted the clone on the shoulder. This is really embarrassing. Thinking of this, the teacher was suddenly startled. He turned around and looked at his hand, which was resting on the shoulder of Yixing's avatar. The touch is very real. It's like, this avatar has an entity. This is Shadow Clone. The teacher couldn't close his mouth in shock, and exclaimed in disbelief. Hearing the word Shadow Clone, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was in a trance, and Hyuga Neji, who had always been indifferent to the assessment, couldn't help turning their eyes to the field. Seeing Yixing displaying such a perfect, physical shadow clone, both of them couldn't believe it. That guy can shadow clone. Neji frowned slightly, thinking, could it be that the other party has been hiding his strength? With blue veins bursting out around his eye sockets, he shouted in a low voice. Blind eyes, open. Whether it is a shadow clone or not, you can tell with a glance. Ordinary clone technique, in front of these eyes, cannot be disguised at all. Seeing this, Neji noticed something was wrong. That clone of Yixing is indeed no ordinary clone technique. But, not shadow clone either. The clone's body was filled with an extremely sharp chakra, which almost stung his eyes. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who has been standing in the distance, was also interested when he heard that some students had performed shadow clone. He walked forward quickly, saw Yixing's face, felt a little familiar, tried hard to recall in his mind, and then remembered the identity of the other party. 2 years ago, someone reported to him that there was a student who was extremely biased in the ninja school. At that time, Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't take this matter to heart. For ninjas, their own strength is the most important, and other talents are just icing on the cake. Unexpectedly, it was this boy named Saifeng Yixing who brought him a surprise today. You know, Shadow Clone is a difficult ninjutsu of B-level learning difficulty, and even many Jonin have not been able to master it. At only 12 years old, Yixing was able to perform this technique unexpectedly. Although he was still far from the famous geniuses Kakashi, Uchiha Itachi and others, it could be regarded as an extraordinary talent. Just when Sarutobi Hiruzen was about to say something, Hyuga Neji suddenly came out from the queue. His pair of white eyes stared at Yixing's avatar, and he paused every word. No, what kind of technique is this? The eyes of the Hyuga clan are strongest in observation. Even if it is the first contact with an enemy, as long as you observe the flow of chakra in the opponent's body, you can roughly judge what kind of attack method the enemy will use. As one of the most outstanding geniuses in the history of the Hyuga clan, Neji's supercilious observation ability is even more superb. But in his life, he has never seen a clone with such a sharp chakra. Oh, this one. Yixing smiled and replied unabashedly. This technique is called wind style. Clone, wind style, doppelganger. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned upon hearing this, with a puzzled look on his face. Even Grandmaster has thousands of ninjutsu, and he, known as the ninjutsu professor, has never heard of such a jutsu. Could it be that this kid is talking nonsense? Where did you learn this technique? Yixing shook his head and smiled lightly. I didn't learn it, this is my own ninjutsu. What? Even Hyuga Neji, who has always been calm and expressionless, was stunned and couldn't close his mouth when he heard this sentence. A 12-year-old ninja school student who created his own ninjutsu. Even that second Hokage, Senju Tobarama, who has developed countless forbidden techniques in his life, has never done such a thing. Sarutobi Hiruzen collected himself and asked with a serious face. This so-called wind style clone was really created by you. If you don't believe it, you can try it. Yixing replied with a smile, pointing to his avatar. This avatar is composed of wind attribute chakra. Once attacked, it will explode into dozens of sharp wind blades. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the clone with great interest, leaned forward and said in a deep voice. In this case, you should stay away, and I will try it out. After the teacher led the students back to a safe distance, Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep breath, stared at the clone, and punched out with force. To be honest, with his strength, he is not afraid of the so-called sharp wind blade at all. After living for so long, what ninjutsu has Sarutobi Hiruzen never seen? Cloud Shinobi's thunder clone will emit lightning style after being scattered, paralyzing the body. Mist Shinobi's water body can cooperate with water prison technique to form an inescapable bondage. Even if a 12-year-old boy created ninjutsu by himself, it would not be powerful enough to hurt him. Originally, Sarutobi Hiruzen thought so. But the moment he smashed the clone, his brows twitched, a sense of crisis came from his heart, and he subconsciously hid to the side. Whoosh! There was only a sound of piercing through the air, and as the clone dissipated, a wind blade dozens of times sharper than a knife burst out, brushing against Sarutobi Hiruzen's shoulder at an extremely fast speed. Before he could dodge, the wide Hokage imperial robe was torn apart. I rely on. Seeing this astonishing scene, the teacher was so shocked that he swears. Sarutobi Hiruzen, that is known as the professor of ninjutsu, known as the strongest Hokage in Konoha history. Such a strong man was almost injured by a boy's self-created ninjutsu. The teacher wiped his eyes, unable to believe that the scene in front of him actually happened. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked down at the damage to his clothes with disbelief in his eyes. Immediately afterwards, he was beaming with joy. Based on Sarutobi Hiruzen's many years of combat experience, it is natural to see that the wind-style clone created by Yixing is not just a show, but a real practical move. The most wonderful thing about this ninjutsu is that after being hit by the enemy, it will not disappear instantly like Shadow Clone, but will first shrink inward, and use the reaction force of the hit to speed up the speed of the wind blade. For a moment, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Yixing with a look of fanaticism. In the history of Konoha, there have been many geniuses with strong strength. Perhaps at such an age, a powerful ninjutsu such as wind style clone was developed. Even second Hokage Senju Tobarama, and Orochimaru, who used to be in charge of the scientific research department, have not done such a thing. There is no doubt that this young man named Chao Yixing is a true scientific research genius. Cough cough. Sarutobi Hiruzen cleared his throat, tried his best to suppress the excitement in his heart, and spoke calmly. Yes, the ninjutsu you created is indeed very strong. Seeing that Yixing was praised by third Hokage, the students all looked envious. Who would have thought that Yixing, who is usually in the middle and lower reaches, has created a powerful ninjutsu? People with bright minds have already predicted that with the approval of third Hokage, even if Yixing's own strength is not strong, the road in the village in the future will be bright. Correct, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly asked. This wind-style clone, for chakra. Yixing naturally understood what the other party wanted to ask, and replied with a smile. This trick doesn't require a lot of chakra, and Genin can use it, otherwise I can't use it. Hiss. Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but gasp when he heard that. Even his Hokage, who is a bit caught off guard at close range, only needs Genin-level chakra to perform it. This price-performance ratio is really too high. Like my teacher, the forbidden techniques invented by second Hokage have extremely high requirements on the practitioners themselves, and they are not widely applicable at all. From the perspective of improving the overall strength of the village, such tasteless food and a waste of waste are far less effective than the wind-style clone created by Yixing. Could it be that he is really a genius? Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep look at Yixing, and waved his hand. Very good, you have such a talent, you will definitely become the successor of the Will of Fire in the future. He had just walked halfway, and suddenly turned around again, and said calmly to the ninja school teacher. By the way, the student named Rock Lee doesn't need to be assessed, just let him pass. I see, Lord Hokage. Following Sarutobi Hiruzen's order, 3 circles representing passing were drawn on Rock Lee's report card. Yixing walked up to the dazed little Lee, patted him on the shoulder and said. As I said, you will definitely pass the test. I graduated. Xiao Li's mind was relatively simple, and he didn't think deeply about the reasons for this. His expression changed from being at a loss, to cheering, jumping up and shouting. I graduated and I'm a ninja. Seeing that Xiao Li was so excited just by passing the graduation examination, Neji rolled his eyes, turned and left. The rest of the students gathered around Yixing, chatting together. What ninjutsu is that, can you teach me? Yeah, it's so powerful. It has a physical clone, which is much better than the clone technique that deceives the eye. Unexpectedly, Yixing, you actually hid such a trick. Looking at the students who were eager to try and couldn't wait to ask him for advice, Yixing felt a little helpless. I never said that wind-style clone is a ninjutsu that Genin can master. He just told Sarutobi Hiruzen that with the amount of chakra at the Genin level, he can perform this trick. If you want to condense the sharp wind blade in the body of the clone, you need almost pervert-level chakra control. If you really want to set a learning difficulty for this wind-style avatar. Without a doubt, the S-class. On the other side, inside Hokage's office. Master Hokage, I brought you the information. Well, put it here. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the document on the table with a pipe in his mouth, and he was very satisfied with the content inside. Name, Chao Yixing. Age, 12 years old. Origin, commoner ninja, father Chunin, mother Genin. Blood succession limit, none. Family secret technique, none. Comment, the talent in cultivation is average, the thinking in dealing with things is far more mature than those of the same age, the talent in theoretical knowledge is extremely high, and occasionally there will be some wonderful ideas that surprise the teachers of the ninja school. Future development trend, scientific research talents. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the information on the table, took a deep breath on his pipe, and looked thoughtful. Then, he looked at an Anbu ninja guarding the door and said in a deep voice. Call Nara Shikuhisa and Yamanaka Haichi over here. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's order, the Anbu ninja froze for a moment, his face hidden under the mask became extremely serious. The patriarch of the Nara clan, Shirju, is the military advisor of Konoha village. Yamanaka Haichi is the head of the intelligence section and the liaison office. These two are both loyal supporters of the Hokage family, and they can be said to be undoubted high-level figures. Master Third Generation suddenly summoned these two people, could it be that something serious happened in the village? The Anbu ninja didn't dare to neglect, and after a respectful response, he hurried forward to inform. Not long after, Yamanaka Haiyi and Nara Shirju, who received the notification, opened the door and entered the office. Master Hokage, what happened? Are there enemies? As soon as he entered the door, Yamanaka asked anxiously. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head with a smile on his face. No, not an enemy, but a great thing. Good thing. Hearing this, even Nara Shikaku, who has always been resourceful, became a little puzzled. What kind of good thing needs to call me and Haiyi over? Sit down and talk. After the two people on the opposite side sat down, Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke slowly. Have you ever heard that among the graduates of this year's ninja school, there is a person named Asagiri Yixing? To Sarutobi Hiruzen's surprise, Luju and Haiyi nodded at the same time and said in unison. I heard. You know him. Hearing this, Luju revealed a slight smile. Yixing has a good relationship with my boy. The two of us often play chess together. As for Haiyi, you can tell. Yamanaka scratched his head. His expression was a bit embarrassed, and it took a long time before he whispered in embarrassment. My daughter seems to have a good impression of that kid. Sarutobi Hiruzen froze for a moment, then waved his hands with a dumbfounded smile. It's normal, that kid looks really good, and he is worthy of your daughter. Yixing's appearance is very handsome, even Uchiha Sasuke, who is called a beauty, is much inferior to him. Coupled with his mature style of handling things, it's not surprising that Haiyi's daughter would like him. Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned suddenly, and lowered his voice. Could it be that he deliberately used Shikamaru and Ino to take the opportunity to have a relationship with Yamanaka and Nara? Before Luju and Hai could answer, Sarutobi Hiruzen waved his hands and muttered to himself. Forget it, it doesn't matter. Master Hokage, did you call us here just to ask about Yixing? Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded, and told the two people on the opposite side about Yixing creating his own wind-style clone in the ninja school. As soon as Luju and Hai heard this, they both looked very shocked. I didn't expect that he had such a talent. As Konoha's military advisor, Nara Shikuhisa immediately realized that the value of a scientific research genius who can create ninjutsu at the age of 12 is no less than that of a strong man like Hatake Kakashi. Even more precious, like Namikaze Minato, who rose to fame in the Third Ninja War known as Yellow Flash. His famous stunt is the Flying Thunder God technique invented by second Hokage Senju Tobarama. Indeed, the only one who can use Flying Thunder God as a regular means of combat is Namikaze Minato, a genius with extremely fast reflexes. But the reverse is also true. Only the Flying Thunder God can maximize the advantages of Namikaze Minato's speed. Being able to produce more combat power is the value of scientific research talents. Sarutobi Hiruzen knocked on the table and asked in a deep voice. Luju, how do you think Yixing should be distributed? Nara Shikajiu showed a solemn expression, Kaido after thinking for a while. With his talent in scientific research, he is too precious to the village. If he is assigned to an ordinary team to perform tasks, he will inevitably encounter danger. In case of accidents. Well, it makes sense. Sarutobi Hiruzen obviously thought so too, nodded and said something. If such a scientific research genius is used as an ordinary genin, it would be a waste of money. I suggest that he be specially recruited into the scientific research department to be responsible for matters related to the development of ninjutsu. Hearing Luju's suggestion, Haiyi agreed. I think so too. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and waved his hand. If that's the case, then it's settled. Nara and Yamanaka walked to the door together, and when they were about to leave, they heard Sarutobi Hiruzen behind him and asked curiously. By the way, Yixing can actually compete with Shikamaru in chess. It seems that his mind is not simple. Asuma, the son of Sarutobi Hiruzen, often goes to play chess with Shikamaru. Naturally, Hiruzen had heard of the intelligence of the future heir of the Nara family. Nara Shikahisa turned around, looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen with a curious face, and smiled helplessly. It may not be appropriate to say competition. Sarutobi Hiruzen was taken aback when he heard the words, and asked in doubt. Could it be, Yixing is better than Shikamaru in chess? Nara Shirju continued to walk out, but left behind a light sentence. Just this sentence shocked Sarutobi Hiruzen even more than when he saw the effect of Wind Style, clone. Shikamaru, haven't won a game yet. On the other side, inside the ninja school, Tian Tian walked through the crowd, ran over and smiled at Yi Xing. Let's go, congratulations on successfully passing the assessment, and treat you to dinner. Then she looked at Rock Lee, who was yelling and jumping high, and shook her head helplessly. Stop making trouble, Lee, let's go together. Hey, can I go too? Of course. Tian Tian is not as twitchy as an ordinary girl, and her gestures appear graceful. This is because she has been helping in her parents' ninja tool shop since she was a child, and her social attributes are full. Okay, then I'm not going to be polite. Seeing that Xiao Li agreed, a sly look flashed in Tian Tian's eyes. She knew that if she invited Yi Xing to dinner alone, the other party would probably find excuses to shirk. If Xiao Li is brought along, it will become a celebration banquet among classmates, and it will not be so abrupt. Okay, let's go then. At this stage, Yi Xing has nothing else to do. If we continue to deduce, we may be able to generate new insights from Wind Style. Breakthrough, Wind Style, Vacuum Sphere, Wind Style, Gale Palm, and create a new Wind Style ninjutsu. Just doing that doesn't make any sense. The development of the Wind Style clone is just to show his talent and use it as a springboard to enter the scientific research department. After awakening the heaven-defying comprehension, his cultivation talent can be said to have been fully utilized. What is lacking is the hard conditions. For example, Yi Xing knew about the cultivation process of Rasengan according to the plot of the original book, but because of the limitation of the amount of chakra, there was no way to display it. The answer to this problem is simple. That is, implantation of first-generation cells. This is the most important reason why Yi Xing wants to join the scientific research department. Soon, it was night. Inside the most popular barbecue restaurant in Konoha village. Boss, have another one. Xiao Li was holding a roast leg of lamb, and his face was full of greasy food. As a ninja who specializes in body arts, he usually consumes a lot of nutrition, but his family is not rich, so he can only eat food such as flatbread to satisfy his hunger. Of course I will be very excited to have a barbecue once. After Xiao Li yelled this sentence, he realized that it was impolite for others to treat guests, and he added food without authorization. He showed an embarrassed smile to Tian Tian and said cautiously, "Is this okay?" Tian Tian came back to his senses as if waking up from a dream, waved his hand nonchalantly, and said with a smile, "It's okay, eat as much as you want, I'll treat you." Xiao Li scratched his head. Really? Then I'll be impolite, boss, and 5 more roasted lamb legs." Tian Tian's family background is not ordinary. Although her parents are not ninjas, they run the largest ninja store in Konoha village, and even in the entire country of fire, and they are out-and-out rich little women. Not to mention a barbecue, even Akamichi Choji, who has an amazing appetite, can't eat her pour. He didn't eat every day, but just stared at Yi Xing, who was eating slowly, and looked at the handsome side face of the other party, with obsession in his eyes. Sure enough, the handsome guy even eats so gracefully. By the way, according to the village's practice, after graduation, we seem to be divided into small teams. Speaking of this every day, he blinked his eyes and smiled at Yi Xing. It would be great if we could get a squad. Yes. Yi Xing smiled noncommittally. In his opinion, not to mention that in Konoha village, or even in the entire ninja world, there is no one who is suitable for him to guide Jonin. Only the scientific research department and root organizations that have collected thousands of ninjutsu can maximize the role of heaven-defying understanding. After eating, the 3 of them parted ways. Xiao Li, who ate his belly full, did not slack off even though he just passed the graduation examination today, and went to practice on his head. Next morning, although he passed the graduation assessment yesterday, today is the official graduation ceremony. The teacher of the ninja school is giving a lecture at this time. Starting today, you will officially become a ninja. The pattern on the forehead protector represents that where the Konoha flutters, there is the will of fire burning. As a member of Konoha village, you must. Listening to the teacher's brainwashing one after another, almost all the students looked solemn. Cultivating the will to fire starts from a baby. Yi Xing dismissed this rhetoric in his heart. If the so-called will of fire really existed, how could someone as strong as Konoha's White Fang Ya be forced to commit suicide by gossip? Why did the Senju clan disappear inexplicably? Yi Xing is not a supporter of conspiracy theories, but when he actually lived in Konoha village, he realized that there were too many strange things happening in Konoha during Sarutobi Hiruzen's tenure. This third Hokage is a typical example of being either stupid or bad. Since Sarutobi Hiruzen can rely on political skills, after Namikaze Minato's sacrifice, break Konoha's traditional rules and take over again with an old body, naturally he will not be a fool. The only explanation left is bad. Of course, although Yi Xing was disdainful in his heart, on the surface, he still pretended to be attentive, as if he was touched by the content of the speech. The teacher on the stage noticed his expression and was very satisfied. It seems that my education over the years has been quite successful. Okay, that's all for now, it's up to you to experience it yourself in the future. The teacher paused, then picked up a list and said, "It will be announced next, which team you will be assigned to." Hearing that the teacher was going to announce the composition of each team, the students below all sat upright, their eyes became solemn. Although they are still young, they also know the importance of leading the team. The two most important relationships in the ninja world, one is blood. The other is the inheritance of teachers. Needless to say, first Hokage who established Konoha village, second generation Senju Tobirama, is the younger brother of first generation. Third generation Sarutobi Hiruzen is also a disciple of second generation. The connection among them can be seen by a normal person. When running for fourth Hokage that year, Orochimaru, who was a disciple of Sarutobi Hiruzen, failed, which surprised many people. But the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato is also the grandson of the third generation, and is also from the Hokage line with young roots. It can be said that in addition to the innate blood that cannot be changed, what kind of team leadership can be assigned determines their future development to a large extent. The teacher looked down at the list in his hand and began to read out the composition of each team. Rock Lee, Tiantian, and Hyuga Neji form the fifth class, led by Jonin Might Guy. Hearing that these three people were assigned to Jonin to lead the team, the others all looked envious. "That's great, the one given to me, why is it an Uncle Chunin?" "That's not bad for you, my team leader has just passed the Chunin exam not long ago. I'm worse than you guys. I'm led by an old lady named Chunin, so I'll be nagged to death." At this moment, they finally realized that even if they had been together in the same classroom for 6 years, they all listened to the same lecture content, but in the hearts of the village seniors, the value of each person was very different. Tiantian, who has outstanding talent in ninja throwing, and Hyuga Neji, one of the most outstanding geniuses in the history of the Hyuga clan. These two people are obviously going to be the focus of training by the village. As for Rock Lee, everyone didn't understand. He didn't even know the three-body technique. How could he be able to graduate without taking the exam, and still get this kind of treatment? Yi Xing understood it, because Might Guy admired Xiao Li very much, and in him, he saw himself in his youth. It can also be said in simple terms. That is through the back door. In the end, Yi Xing was the only one whose name was not read. Everyone was very curious. What kind of position would this genius who created ninjutsu at the age of 12 be assigned by the village's senior management? Under the gaze of the students, the teacher on the podium took out a letter from his pocket and opened it. When he saw the contents, he was stunned for a moment. Then, he read it very solemnly. Asagiri Yi Xing, personally approved by 3rd Hokage, specially recruited Anbu. Hearing this sentence, the classroom fell into a dead silence, so quiet that even a needle could be heard falling on the ground. All the students, even the usually standoffish Hyuga Neji, had disbelief written all over their faces. They cast their eyes on Yi Xing, who was sitting in the corner of the classroom, and whispered to each other. "Did I hear you wrong, Anbu? 3rd Hokage personally approves. This, impossible. In the history of Konoha village, there were a few Anbu members who were younger than Yi Xing. Like that Uchiha Itachi. He joined Anbu at the age of 11 and is the youngest Anbu member in history. This is the first time in the history of Konoha village that he can be specially recruited as a genin. You must know that if you want to join Anbu, you must at least have the strength above the Chunin level." In order to attract Yi Xing, 3rd Hokage did not hesitate to get off the stage himself, breaking the rules that have been going on for so many years. What kind of value did he see in Yi Xing? For a while, the students felt very envious. Having been appreciated by third Hokage, the future is simply limitless. Only when Tiantian heard that Yi Xing was recruited into Anbu, his eyes became a little complicated. It is indeed an honor to be elected as a member of Anbu. It represents one's own value and has been recognized by the senior management. But that place is filled with darkness. As for Yi Xing, the person involved, his expression was very calm, and his eyes didn't fluctuate at all, as if he had expected this to happen a long time ago. Okay, you all know your class status, go to the playground and gather, starting today, you are an official ninja. Hearing what the teacher said, the students who had just become genin stood up one after another and walked out of the classroom. Yi Xing, you stay. Good. Yi Xing simply responded and sat back in his seat. The teacher on the podium also left with the students. Yi Xing was the only one left in the classroom, which seemed a bit empty. Not long after, a slim ninja wearing an Anbu uniform, a white mask, and long purple hair pushed the door into the classroom. Are you Chao Wu Yi Xing? Seeing the iconic long purple hair, Yi Xing, who was a time traveler, instantly recognized the other party's identity, but still pretended to be a little dazed and nodded. Yes, you are. Come with me, and I will take you through Anbu's entry procedures. Azuki Xian left the school with Yi Xing and came all the way to the Anbu building. She still doesn't know that her true identity has been fully exposed. Looking at Shi Yan's back, Yi Xing thought to himself that it seems that third Hokage really attaches great importance to recruiting himself. Azuki Xian is no ordinary Anbu member. She and Moonlight Hayate are both Hokage's direct subordinate Anbu, and their usual duties are equivalent to Sarutobi Hiruzen's personal guard. After several twists and turns, the two entered a bright room. Yi Xing saw a brand new Anbu uniform and a pure white mask on the table. And third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, sitting behind the table, said with a kind old man-like smile on his face. How about it, are you satisfied with your future working environment? It's nice here. Seeing that he didn't look surprised at all, Sarutobi Hiruzen thought that the other party had just arrived in Anbu and felt a little uncomfortable, so he got up and walked over, patted Yi Xing on the shoulder and said in relief. Don't worry, although you are nominally a member of Anbu, you belong to the scientific research department and don't need to perform those dangerous tasks. Scientific research talents like Yi Xing are very valuable. Considering his parentage, Sarutobi Hiruzen takes it all the more seriously. There are still a few geniuses in Konoha's younger generation. Neji from the Hyuga branch house, and Uchiha Sasuke from the junior year, both showed great talent. It's a pity that the background of these two people determines that they are destined not to become die-hard members of the Hokage family. But Yi Xing is just the opposite. He was born in a commoner family, his parents died, he was an orphan, he had nothing to do with the existing factions in the village, he was like a blank slate. In addition to the talent of self-created ninjutsu, this is one of the important reasons why Sarutobi Hiruzen did not hesitate to break the rules and recruit Yi Xing into Anbu. Okay, I still have something to do, you should get used to it first, and it's okay to start working after you get used to it. After saying that, Sarutobi Hiruzen walked out of the room. After the Lord Hokage left, Azuki Xian took out a scroll from the cabinet, spread it on the table and unfolded it, said calmly. I heard that you created the wind attribute clone technique with entities. Yi Xing smiled, neither humble nor overbearing Kaido, there is indeed such a thing. Well, Azuki Xian nodded slightly, and pointed to the scroll on the table. Your main responsibility in Anbu is to develop new ninjutsu, and to see if there is anything that can be simplified for these jutsu with harsh conditions and powerful effects. Although she said so, she still had some doubts about the scientific research talent of the young man in front of her. The inventors of the three techniques on the scroll are Second Hokage, the former #1 scientist in the ninja world, and the world-famous Yellow Flash. A genin who just graduated, to improve the art they created. Azuki Xian even wondered if third Hokage was too old to make such a ridiculous decision. Yi Xing looked in the direction of her fingers, and what he saw were three techniques that surprised him. Rasengan by 4th Hokage, and Tandem Paper Bombs by 2nd Hokage, and Flying Thunder God Technique. Let me simplify these ninjutsu. Yi Xing put on a helpless look and sighed. Master Hokage, you think too highly of me. As the saying goes, a big tree attracts the wind. As a genin who just graduated, he can create a ninjutsu-like wind style clone, which is enough to be jaw-dropping. It would be too ostentatious to say with confidence that the 3 forbidden techniques in S-level ninjutsu can be simplified. If you really do that, it will probably take less than 2 days for someone to come to your door. As for who came to the door, don't forget, inside Konoha village, there is a villain named Shimura Danzo called Nabe Shadow. Besides, if the other 4 ninja villages know that Konoha has produced a scientific research genius like him, they will definitely regard it as a serious problem and want to kill him quickly. Don't look at Sarutobi Hiruzen talking about the will of fire every day, but it's not like he hasn't done things like sacrificing the life of a ninja in exchange for peace. Didn't Neji's father choose to kill himself because of Cloud Shinobi's coercion? As an orphan from a commoner background, no matter how talented he is, can he compare to the younger brother of the head of the Hyuga clan? Oh, you don't have confidence. Hearing what Yi Xing said, Mao Yuxian was not only not angry, but even eased her attitude. She had thought that a young genius like this, plus being specially recruited into Anbu by Mr. Hokage, would definitely look domineering, with his eyes above his head. Now it seems that the information in that document is correct. Although the other party is not very old, he already has a mature mind and will not be confused by these false names from the outside world. Besides, Shi Yan took a look at Yi Xing's profile, thinking that he was really good looking. Even the famous handsome guy in the village, Uchiha Sasuke, is much inferior compared to him. All I can say is, I'll do my best. After getting Yi Xing's reply, Azuki Shion nodded and said softly, Master Hokage specifically instructed you to set your working hours by yourself, and you can study them at home if you want, but please remember that the contents of this scroll must never be shown to others. Yi Xing nodded with a smile. Of course I understand. After Azuki Shion left the room, he turned his gaze back to the scroll, and looked at the 3 spells on it, feeling a little excited in his heart. Yellow Flash's famous stunt, Time and Space Ninjutsu Flying Thunder God. As the protagonist, Uzumaki Naruto, from the beginning of learning, has been rubbing to the Rasengan of the finale. These 2 are rare practical ninjutsu. Only tandem paper bombs, some taste of chicken ribs in it. The principle of this technique is to use the method of summoning each other between the detonating symbols, and in just a few seconds, a violent chain explosion will be produced. The power of tandem paper bombs is indeed very strong, but unfortunately, no one can use it. When Senju Tobarama invented this technique, it was to be used together with Impure World Reincarnation, which was equivalent to a suicide attack. He didn't consider at all whether the caster would be affected by the serial explosions at close range. And Impure World Reincarnation, a technique that goes against human relations, was listed as a forbidden technique that must not be touched by first Hokage as soon as it was invented. Tandem paper bombs are also included in the forbidden technique list. Yi Xing remembers seeing a meme on the internet before. Tobarama, brother, I invented a new jutsu. First generation. Is it water style? Tobarama, no, first generation. Listed as forbidden technique. Although it is a stock, it can be seen from this that Senju Tobarama really has no scruples when creating ninjutsu. Thinking of this, Yi Xing picked up the ninjutsu scroll, and while watching it, he deduced it in his heart. Before I knew it, it was already midnight. Congratulations, you have gone deep into deduction and mastered Flying Thunder God technique, tandem paper bombs, Rasengan. Yi Xing put down the scroll and rubbed his eyes. As expected of the 3 extremely difficult ninjutsu to learn, even if he had a full-level comprehension talent, it took him several hours to master. If others heard this, they would probably jump up in anger and call him Versailles. The difficulty of these 3 techniques is undoubtedly S rank. Not to mention ordinary ninjas. Even as a 4th-generation disciple, elite Jonin Hatake Kakashi, a rare genius in the history of Konoha, has only learned 3 techniques, Rasengan, the simplest. Chakra, in the final analysis, we still need to increase the amount of chakra. Now Yi Xing, even if he has learned these 3 techniques, he still doesn't have enough chakra to perform. 2 days ago, he had already deduced the most perfect chakra refining technique by relying on his full-level comprehension. However, it is still not fast enough. He had already thought of the solution to this problem. As long as you implant yourself with first-generation cells, not only will you be able to obtain wood style and strong resilience, but your own chakra will also be greatly increased. To achieve this goal, there is a major premise, that is, he must first come into contact with the samples of first-generation cells. If it can be analyzed out of thin air, it is called conjecture, not deduction. If you want to access secrets like first-generation cells, you must pass third Hokage. In other words, Yi Xing needs to make meritorious service. He recalled the contents of the 3 techniques in his mind, and locked his target on the technique of tandem paper bombs. You start to deduce. Yi Xing knew that the new ninjutsu he had comprehended was related to the ideas he added during the deduction process. Just like the last time, a clone of wind style was created. If the scroll in his home is not wind style, breakthrough, but fire style, great fireball, what he understands may be that it will burst into fireballs and burn the enemy's fire style. Clone. It can be said that the talent of full-level comprehension can only exert its greatest value in the hands of him, who is a time traveler and has an open mind. The technique of tandem paper bombs is impeccable in terms of power, and it also has high requirements for the amount of chakra. The only flaw is that the caster needs to be at close range, through the fine control of chakra, to initiate the serial summoning of the detonating talisman. This makes the technique of tandem paper bombs seem a bit tasteless. Weak ninjas can't get close to powerful enemies and launch suicide attacks. The stronger ones are very valuable to the village and cannot be sacrificed easily. After the creation of tandem paper bombs, the only person who can master this technique is the inventor Senju Tobarama. Yi Xing was deducing silently in his mind, and suddenly, a flash of inspiration came. There is a fighting style in the ninja world that also requires fine chakra control, but it can be performed from a distance. That is Sunagaku's specialty, puppetry. Through the thin chakra thread on the fingertips, it is connected to the body of the puppet, and the enemy can be killed with a slight movement of the 5 fingers, which is full of appreciation. What if the chakra line that controls the puppet can be used as the trigger for the detonator? In that case, the caster could be separated by at least 10 meters to ensure that they would not be affected by the explosion. Thinking of this, Yi Xing began to deduce repeatedly in his mind. Chapter 11. Half a month later, Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen was leaning back on a chair, smoking a pipe. Looking at the pile of documents, his wrinkled face showed a little tiredness. As he grows older, not only his strength, but even handling Konoha's affairs, he feels a little powerless. Ninja is a high-risk occupation. Those who can live to the age of 68 like Sarutobi Hiruzen are really rare. And at this age, this family is the only one who can still act as the shadow of a village. In a few years, it's time for me to retire. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a puff from his pipe, thinking in his mind. He has already decided on the candidate for 5th Hokage, and his youngest son Asuma will take over. If this is successful, then the Sarutobi clan will have produced 2 Hokages, keeping pace with the Senju, which once flourished but is now extinct. And he, Sarutobi Hiruzen, as the father of the longest-serving Hokage, 5th generation, will definitely leave a strong mark in the history of Konoha village. Asuma is a strong ninja, but he's definitely not as good as Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen has thought of a solution. The heirs of the heads of the Inoshika-cho families are all students of next year's class. At that time, as long as Asuma is assigned as their guide Jonin, things will be much easier. The most trustworthy relationship in the ninja world, besides the natural blood, is the in-laws and master-student. Waiting for Asuma, Jonin, the guide who will become the future successor of the Inoshika-cho clan, and Nara Shikahisa's resourcefulness, will surely understand the meaning of this. As long as Asuma is elected as 5th generation, your children will be Hokage's apprentices. The status of the Inoshika-cho clan in the village will be even better than before. The only problem is that Sarutobi Hiruzen is too old and may not have enough time to stick to the day when the plan is completed. At this time, the sound of crutches hitting the ground sounded from far and near. An old man with a bandage on his right half of his body, an X-shaped scar on his chin, and a sinister face pushed open the door and walked in. Seeing the other party, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help frowning slightly. "Danzo, you came to see me, did something important happen?" Danzo looked directly into Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes coldly, and said in a deep voice. "That boy named Yi Xing is very valuable to the root organization, I want it." Danzo's attitude is very tough, even aggressive. 4 years ago, he successfully solved Uchiha's serious problem for Konoha village, and also let Itachi's 25-year-old boy take the blame, minimizing the bad influence of this matter. With such credit, the power of the root organization has grown larger and larger over the years. Even Sarutobi Hiruzen, who is third Hokage, feels a little out of control. Impossible. Although Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't want to offend Danzo, he shook his head firmly when he heard that he wanted Yi Xing to join the root organization. He was also very valuable to the village. Danzo narrowed his eyes slightly and said coldly, "Don't forget, all these years, who has been in the dark, guarding the stability of the village?" Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned, slapped the table hard, and said without flinching, "Danzo, don't forget, I am Hokage." Seeing that the other party used Hokage's name to bully him again, a stern look flashed in Danzo's eyes, and without saying anything, he stood up and walked to the door of the office, leaving a harsh word. "Hiruzen, you will regret it." Danzo had just left on the front foot, and Sarutobi Hiruzen hadn't had time to catch his breath. Azuki Shion, who was wearing Anbu uniform and no mask, opened the door and walked in, bowing her head respectfully. "Master Hokage." "Well, Shion." Sarutobi Hiruzen changed his face faster than turning the pages of a book, and instantly turned into a kind old man. He exchanged a few words with Shion casually, and then got to the point. "That little guy Yi Xing, what has he been doing recently?" "He has been staying in the laboratory of the Anbu building, and I heard that he has not been home for several days." Shion paused for a moment, then continued. "After he got the scroll last time, he also applied for permission to read the books about puppetry in the village. I have approved all of them according to your instructions." Puppetry. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned slightly upon hearing this. He actually didn't think that Yi Xing could really simplify those 3 techniques. No matter how talented the other party is in scientific research and development, but after all, he is only a 12-year-old boy, how could he do such an amazing thing? Hiruzen just wanted to take this opportunity to see if this little guy named Saifeng Yi Xing would do his best to complete his order, so as to judge whether the other party had the will to burn. Puppetry. He had no idea that this had anything to do with the study of those 3 techniques, it was simply irrelevant. Sarutobi Hiruzen flashed a hint of displeasure, and said in a deep voice, "I think this kid is a little drifting, and he didn't pay attention to my entrustment at all." Just as he finished speaking, a ninja in Anbu costume rushed in without even knocking on the door. Seeing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned even deeper. "What made you panic like this?" The Anbu ninja didn't even catch his breath, so he took out a scroll from his arms and put it on the table in front of Hiruzen, out of breath. "Master Hokage, this is handed in by Yi Xing." "What's inside?" He said that what is recorded on it is an improved version of the tandem paper bombs technique after his research. Sarutobi Hiruzen showed doubts on his face, wondering if he heard it wrong. A modified version of the tandem paper bombs technique. His original order was just to let the other party see where it could be simplified. To put it bluntly, it is to see if the training requirements of the 3 techniques can be lowered while retaining the original power as much as possible, so that ninjas with less outstanding talents can also use them. The 3 techniques chosen by Sarutobi Hiruzen are all exquisite. Tandem paper bombs, with large range and strong explosive power, are most suitable for use on the battlefield. Rasengan, with a training difficulty of S level, is a Muji ninjutsu specially developed by Namikaze Minato to cooperate with Flying Thunder God. It does not have any attributes. This means that as long as the cultivation requirements can be met, no matter what attribute chakra is in the body, it can be successfully mastered by this technique, which has wide applicability. Also, Sarutobi Hiruzen's grandson, Namikaze Minato, once spoke to him. Rasengan at this stage is just a semi-finished product with unlimited possibilities. It's a pity that Namikaze Minato died in the Nine Tails Rebellion before it was researched and developed. The last one, Flying Thunder God. There are 3 people in Konoha village who have barely mastered this technique. Reluctantly, it is because the 3 of them do not have the ability to perform Flying Thunder God independently. Only by working together can they perform the joint ninjutsu with the same effect, the Flying Thunder or A technique. Those 3 were Namikaze Minato's former personal squad, with Shiranui Genma as the captain, known as the Genma Squad. Even the weakened version of the thunder array technique has great strategic significance. After all, it is a teleportation technique that spans space, and it can also bring people. If Yixing can reduce the training requirements of Filejun through research and development, even if more people need to perform it, even if more than 10 or 20 ninjas are required to perform it together, Konoha's strength will be greatly improved. It's just that Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't expect it. He thinks that relatively speaking, there is no news about Flying Thunder God and Rasengan, which are less difficult to simplify. And he thinks the most difficult task, which is almost equivalent to the impossible task of tandem paper bombs, Yixing actually said that it has been completed. What is even used is not a simplified version, but a very arrogant word like an improved version. This kid, aren't you fooling me? Frowning, Sarutobi Hiruzen opened the scroll. Azuki Shion stood beside her, very curious. Can that little guy named Yixing complete Master Hokage's task? In the silent room, time passed by every minute. Sarutobi Hiruzen read the content on the scroll, without any expression on his face. Finally, Azuki Shion still couldn't help being curious and asked in a low voice. Master Hokage, what do you think of his development? Cough cough. Sarutobi Hiruzen cleared his throat, put the scroll back on the table, the old man blushed, and said with some embarrassment. That, I don't understand. Ha, Azuki Shion and the Anbu ninja were a little confused when they heard the words. This third Hokage is a grandmaster with thousands of ninjutsu and has the title of ninjutsu professor. How could a character like this fail to understand the contents of the scroll? That kid Yixing, what did he write on it? Azuki Shion said cautiously. Master Hokage, can I? Well, let's see. After getting Sarutobi Hiruzen's approval, Azuki Yugao picked up the scroll. Seeing the first sentence above, she froze. Tandem paper bombs are essentially storing detonators in a different space, and then stimulated by the caster's chakra to achieve the effect of serial summoning and detonation of detonators. Therefore, the angle of improvement should take into account the factor of space. That's the end of what she can understand. What Yixing wrote next was all about the analysis of different spaces, and even the mathematical formulas needed to calculate the explosive power. The last paragraph is about the manipulation method of puppetry and how to use the thin chakra thread as the medium to trigger the detonating talisman. Azuki Shion felt dizzy after just a few glances. She knew every word on the scroll. But they can be connected together, but they can't understand the meaning at all. Master Hokage, this, Shi Yangziu frowned slightly, thinking that this kid Yixing, could he be making up things here to cope with the task? Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, picked up the pipe and took a few puffs before slowly opening his mouth. His talent in ninjutsu development is really beyond my imagination. Shion didn't dare to imagine what she heard, so she asked tentatively. You mean, that's right, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded, with an irrepressible look of surprise on his old face. Although the concept is very deep and complicated, I can see that he did it, improving the tandem paper bombs invented by second Hokage. When Maoyu Shion heard this, she was so shocked that she couldn't close her mouth from ear to ear. There was an unbelievable look in her beautiful eyes. This is the tandem paper bombs technique that second Hokage has spent his whole life developing, but has not achieved significant results. Could it be that Yixing, who is only 12 years old, has a talent for developing ninjutsu that is stronger than Senju Tobarama, the most talented scientist in history? Meanwhile, Yixing, the person who surprised Sarutobi Hiruzen and Azuki Yugao, is wandering the streets of Konoha. When the villagers on both sides saw him, they all greeted him warmly. Are you done with your work today? Yixing, the fresh apples just came in, take a few and try them. Yixing, my daughter wants your autographed photo. Let me tell you, my daughter is very beautiful. Now Yixing has become one of the hottest figures among the younger generation of Konoha village. Whether it was intentional or not, third Hokage spread the news that he was specially recruited into Anbu as a genin. This time, there was an uproar in the village. In the history of Konoha, there has never been such a special case. Even geniuses like Uchiha Itachi and Kakashi have to behave themselves, graduate from ninja school, take the Chunin exam, and finally qualify to join Anbu. In the scientific research department, there are also a few people who do not have the strength of Chunin level. For this kind of situation, Konoha has a special treatment method. Just like the teacher in the ninja school, you will be given the title of Chunin first, and then you will be appointed. The purpose is to prevent the villagers from talking about it, thinking that they are going through the back door and doing something special. When it came to Yi Xing, he didn't take such reasonable measures. How could Sarutobi Hiruzen make such a low-level mistake? Yi Xing speculated that the other party should have done it on purpose. The purpose is to let the matter of myself joining Anbu spread throughout Konoha through the curiosity of the villagers. In this way, even if he wants to change his sect and join Danzo's root organization, or leave Konoha and join another ninja village, he will not be fully trusted. At this moment, Azuki Shion, who was wearing an Anbu uniform, appeared in front of him. Master Hokage is looking for you. Yi Xing pretended to be exhausted, forced a smile and said. Let me guess, it's to explain the principle of that technique, right? Yes, but, Mao Yuxian looked at Yi Xing's appearance and felt a little distressed. As far as she knows, the other party has not been home for several days and nights, and has been working in the laboratory of the Scientific Research Department. Such a heavy burden was placed on the shoulders of a young man. Xian hesitated for a moment, but finally couldn't help but said. If you are very tired, it's okay to go back and rest first. I will tell Mr. Hokage that you have fallen asleep. Yi Xing smiled and shook his head, whispering. In that case, you might get into trouble. I quite like getting along with you. Forget it, let's go. I can hold on for a while. Hearing the word, like, from Yi Xing's mouth, and being looked directly at by his bright eyes, even though Shi Yan knew that the other party didn't mean that, she couldn't help but blush and her heart beat a little, and the deer bumped wildly in her chest. The two walked side by side in the direction of the Hokage building. The exhausted look on Yi Xing's face was actually an act of faking. Improving tandem paper bombs is indeed a very difficult thing. But he has a full level of comprehension. After getting the puppet, it took less than 2 days to complete the development. Delaying handing over the scroll until today is mainly for 2 purposes. The first one is to make one's talent less amazing, at least it must be within the acceptable range of normal people. Second, I just don't want to work for nothing. Pretending to be a very hard work is to let Sarutobi Hiruzen know how difficult it is to improve tandem paper bombs. With credit and hard work, maybe this time, the other party will give him access to first-generation cells. It sounds troublesome, but there is no way. He couldn't take the initiative to ask for contact with first-generation cells, otherwise he couldn't explain how he learned about such a confidential experiment. Before you have the strength to turn the tables, you can only play according to the rules. After entering Hokage's office, I saw Sarutobi Hiruzen sitting behind the desk, carefully reading the scroll. Hearing the footsteps coming from the door, he reluctantly put down the scroll, and when he saw Yi Xing approaching, he stood up and greeted him with a warm smile. Come here, during this time, I have really worked hard on you. Yi Xing replied, neither humble nor overbearing. You were not disappointed. Very good, please explain in detail. How is the improved tandem paper bombs different from the original? Facing the curious Hiruzen and Xian, Yi Xing nodded and began to explain. To put it simply, the thin chakra wire used to control the puppet is used as the trigger to trigger the detonating talisman, so that the caster is at a safe distance during the explosion. Of course, it sounds simple, but it is not so easy to do. To do this, extreme chakra control is necessary, even more so than the original. After listening to Yi Xing's explanation, Shi Yan's beautiful eyes even revealed a bit of admiration. Few of the ninjas in Konoha village practice puppetry. Yi Xing can think of the method of manipulating puppets and combining them with tandem paper bombs, which is really a talent. The key is that Shi Yan remembers that the other party touched the scroll recording the puppet art, that is, a few days ago. In such a short period of time, the difficulty of completing the improved version of tandem paper bombs can be imagined. Good, good, good. Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't hide the excitement in his heart. He patted the table and said hello 3 times in a row. He let out a long breath and smiled at Yi Xing. You have made great contributions to the village. If you have any rewards you want, feel free to mention them. As long as I can provide them, it doesn't matter. Since you say so, it's hard for me to refuse. Yi Xing said politely, then said softly. I heard that Orochimaru once served as the director of the Scientific Research Department before he rebelled against the village. I hope I can borrow the whole record of his experiments over the years. Orochimaru's experimental records. Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart sank, his eyes were like sharp knives, cast on Yi Xing's face. The first-generation cell transplantation experiment was led by Orochimaru, but because of too many deaths and no success, it was stopped. Later Orochimaru and Danzo, in private, started another experiment. Tianzang, who was originally in the root organization but now joined Anbu and inherited the power of the first-generation wood style, was the only experimental product that survived that time. Yi Xing actually asked himself for Orochimaru's experiment records. Could it be that you heard something? Facing the burning gaze of the third Hokage, Yi Xing looked indifferent with a smile on his face, without flinching or dodging in the slightest. After pondering for a long time, Sarutobi Hiruzen finally spoke slowly. Yes, but remember, only you can watch it in private. Now, it happens to be an opportunity. Yi Xing's scientific talent is strong enough to improve the tandem paper bombs invented by second Hokage. Maybe, after learning from Orochimaru's experimental records, he can also generate some new ideas for the transplantation of first-generation cells. Now is the time when Konoha village needs some wood-style ninja power. But if Yi Xing shows unacceptable emotions after learning about the human experiments conducted in the village, and even plans to make the matter public, then Hiruzen can only feel sorry for him. Okay, then go back and rest first. Good. After talking to Sarutobi Hiruzen for a few words, Yi Xing left the office. After he left, Azuki Shion couldn't help asking, Master Hokage, Orochimaru defected from the village after you found out that he was experimenting with ninjas from the village. Aren't you worried that Yi Xing will go astray after watching his experiment records? Will not. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head with a meaningful smile. There is one fundamental difference between him and Orochimaru. Shion asked curiously, what's the difference? Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep breath from his pipe and said slowly. His own strength is very weak, and he can only survive under the protection of the village. When Azuki Shion heard this, her pupils shrank involuntarily. Looking at the respected third Hokage in front of her, she felt a chill in her heart. It turned out that the other party had already considered this point, which is why they trusted Yi Xing so much. As one of the Sannin, Orochimaru possesses cage-level strength, so even if he becomes a rebel, he can still live a chic life. Yi Xing is completely different. No matter how talented he is in scientific research, in essence, he is just an ordinary genin who has just passed the graduation examination and ranks in the middle and lower reaches of his class. He has not defected from Konoha village at all, and is strong enough to protect himself. The scheming of third Hokage is really chilling. In the early morning of the next day, in the laboratory of the Anbu building, Orochimaru has been in Konoha for so many years, and has conducted dozens of experiments including first-generation cell transplantation. The scrolls recording the experimental process were all piled up into a hill, stacked high on the table. Yi Xing sat behind the table and began to read the contents recorded in it. As the number one scientist in the ninja world, Orochimaru's experimental records are very valuable. Similarly, it is absolutely impossible for ordinary people to understand the content. But for Yi Xing, who has a full level of comprehension, these things are like the examination papers of elementary school students, who can understand them just by looking at them. You have read Orochimaru's experimental records, and have mastered the perfect level Orochi-style ninjutsu. You have read Orochimaru's experiment records, and mastered the soft modification technique. You have read Orochimaru's experimental records, and comprehended the perfect level chakra attribute cultivation technique. Most ninjas are born with only one chakra attribute. Like Sasuke, who is born with the dual attributes of thunder and fire, chakra is already a rare genius. Through acquired practice, of course, you can also master the changes in chakra's attributes, but generally speaking, that is something that can only be done at the Jonin level. And when using the corresponding escapism, it is not as smooth as those who are born with attributes. As a commoner ninja, Yi Xing's body has only one attribute of chakra, which is the wind style that was cast before. Now watching Orochimaru's experimental record, he has realized the perfect chakra attribute cultivation technique. Through this method of cultivation, the chakra attributes you have mastered are equivalent to those you were born with, and it is very smooth to use. These are surprises. His main goal is to record the transplantation of first-generation cells. At this moment, a transparent figure quietly walked into the room. Moonlight Gale was using transmitting, held his breath, and stood in a corner, silently observing Yi Xing's reaction. He has already received an order from Third Hokage. If the other party shows any dissatisfaction when he sees the first-generation cell experiment records, he will immediately take Yi Xing down and put him in a cell, waiting for the higher-ups to deal with him. It's just that Moonlight Gale didn't notice that when he entered the door, he broke an extremely tiny chakra line that couldn't be seen unless he used white eyes to observe. At this time, Yi Xing suddenly muttered to himself. The first-generation cell transplant experiment. This is really amazing. Moonlight Gale's heart sank, and his right hand was already on the hilt behind his back, ready to take down the opponent. Before he had time to make a move, Yi Xing followed up. Unfortunately, the final result was a failure. If I were allowed to participate, I might be able to succeed and contribute to the village. This is what Lord Hokage said, the will of fire. Hearing this, Yugong Gale released his hand from the handle of the knife behind his back, and he relaxed in his heart. He didn't want to shoot Yi Xing unless it was a last resort. The first-generation cell transplant experiment is a top-secret matter for most villagers and ninjas, because this matter exceeds the bottom line of ordinary people. Third Hokage is worried that if the news gets out, Konoha village, which has finally settled down, will fall into turmoil again. If it really comes to the day when the crowd is excited, his position as Hokage can be regarded as the end. Seeing that Yi Xing just expressed a few thoughts and then continued to silently watch the content on the scroll, Moonlight Gale quietly left the room. At this time, Yi Xing showed a smile on his face, thinking that the development of the matter was exactly as he had guessed. Sarutobi Hiruzen is so suspicious, how could he not hold back when he gave Orochimaru's experimental records to himself? During the deduction process of improving tandem paper bombs, Yi Xing incidentally mastered the extremely superb puppet technique. The thin chakra line at the door of the room was specially arranged by him. In particular, Jonin Moonlight Hayate, like Azuki Shion, is an Anbu member directly under Third Hokage. He possesses a very special blood inheritance limit, called through Dun. 2 Dun is almost useless in combat, but his ability to hide his body makes Gai Feng the best candidate for spying. Sarutobi Hiruzen asked him to monitor Yi Xing, which was considered very cautious. It's a pity that the devil is 1 foot tall, and the Tao is 1 foot tall. Every move of Sarutobi Hiruzen was within Yi Xing's expectation. It wasn't until the evening that Yi Xing checked all of Orochimaru's experimental records over the years. I have to sigh that although Orochimaru has a gloomy personality, he really does his best for Konoha village. Before his defection, he had done 16 D-level tasks, 332 C-level tasks, 521 B-level tasks, 491 A-level tasks, and 108 S-level tasks for Konoha village. How amazing is this amount? Namikaze Minato's S-level tasks are less than 1/3 of his, A-level tasks are only 2/3, and B-level and C-level tasks are less than half. In total, 1,500 times. Assume that Orochimaru started to do missions at the age of 12 and defected at the age of 37, a total of 25 years. 1,500 tasks, 60 times per year on average, equivalent to 1 per week, and the difficulty of tasks increases with age. In the middle, he is also responsible for the experimental development of the scientific research department, as well as foreign wars. To such an extent, he was not elected as the 4th Hokage, and was rejected by his teacher. Had Yi Xing been in Orochimaru's position, he would have already run away. Okay, let's stop here today. Yi Xing put away the scroll that recorded the experiment process, and then left the Anbu building. He wasn't worried at all that someone would come and steal it. As the core institution of Konoha, the Anbu building is very tightly guarded, with sealing techniques and enchantments everywhere. Besides, even if it was stolen, it had nothing to do with him, it was the guard's dereliction of duty. As soon as Yi Xing walked to the street, he saw a middle-aged man with pale blonde hair in a long black trench coat, looking around. When the other party saw him, a friendly smile appeared on his face, and he walked over quickly and said with a smile, "Yi Xing, are you done with your work today?" This person is the current head of the Yamanaka family, the head of the Konoha Information Division and Liaison Office, Yamanaka Haiichi. He also works in the Anbu building, but because the two belong to different departments, they have not met each other. Head of the Hai family. Hearing Yi Xing's address, Yamanaka walked over and patted him on the shoulder, smiling heartily. Don't be so foreign, just call me uncle, haven't you eaten yet? Come to my house to eat. This, isn't that good? What's wrong? After you graduate, Ino won't be able to see you anymore, and you'll be talking in front of me every day. Stop talking, let's go. After that, Yamanaka pulled Yi Xing to the door of his house. As the current patriarch of the Yamanaka family, and in a high position, his financial conditions are naturally not to mention, and he lives in a 2-story detached house. Dad, why are you working overtime so late again? Can't it be drinking again? Yi Xing. Ino opened the door and saw not only his father, but also Yi Xing standing at the door. He couldn't help being stunned. Her dress was completely different from when she was in school. Her pale golden hair was not combed into a ponytail, but was scattered on both sides of her shoulders, which made her fair skin more attractive. Seeing her daughter's expression, Yi showed a meaningful smile and teased. Don't you think about Yi Xing day and night, and ask me every day, how is he doing in Anbu? I brought it to you, and you ask yourself. A shy blush flashed across Ino's pretty face. She hammered Yi's chest hard, and said angrily. You middle-aged uncle, don't talk nonsense. Yes. Yi pampered his daughter's head, and then led Yi Xing into the house. Ino looked at the food on the table, pointed his clean chin with his hands, and said with a look of embarrassment. Mom didn't know that Yi Xing was coming, so she only made a meal for one person. What should I do? Then she looked at Yamanaka and smiled sweetly. Since this is the case, I will wrong you, Dad, and you will be hungry. Ah, why is this? Yamanaka shook his head helplessly and sighed. Oh, it's really a girl who doesn't want to stay. Seeing Yi Xing, even my father is left alone. If you talk nonsense again, be careful that I will tell your mother about your secret drinking. Ino made a threat, and then looked at Yi Xing with some embarrassment. Student Yi Xing, sit down and eat. No, I've already eaten in the Anbu building. Yi Xing waved his hand and refused decisively. Just kidding, let Yamanaka Yi be hungry by the side, and sit down to eat by himself. How can this be eaten? Oh, it turns out that Yi Xing has already eaten, so there is no other way. Yamanaka pretended to sigh with regret, and quickly sat down at the table, and started to make dinner. Seeing his father's out-of-shape appearance, Ino showed helplessness, poured a cup of tea and put it on the coffee table, and smiled at Yi Xing. Student Yi Xing, sit down and drink tea. Okay. After Yi Xing sat down, Ino came to his side, and when he was about to say something, he was interrupted by his father. While eating, Yamanaka seemed to ask inadvertently. By the way, what have you been busy with since you joined Anbu? I heard from the people below that you often stay away for days and nights. Do you have any important tasks? Hearing Yi's question, Yi Xing changed from his previous polite manner and said calmly. The work of the scientific research department is absolutely confidential. Even if you ask, I will not disclose half a word, sorry. Yeah, not only was Yamanaka not angry, but he nodded appreciatively. You were right. As an Anbu member, the most important thing is to keep it secret, no one can reveal it. Ino frowned slightly, a little displeased. Father, Yi Xing's usual work is already very hard. Since he is visiting our house, please stop asking questions. Yamanaka Yi is a typical daughter slave. Seeing that Ino was angry, he immediately apologized with a smile on his face. Sorry, I accidentally brought my work habits home. Really? Yamanaka smiled, and glanced at the calm Yi Xing, with complicated expressions in his eyes. He did not try this out because he was full, but because he had received instructions from 3rd Hokage. Earlier today, Sarutobi Hiruzen summoned him and Lu Ju to the office again, and expressed that he wanted to hand over the development task of first-generation cells to Yi Xing. This is a major event related to the future of the village. Even if there is a report from Yugong Gale, it is still necessary to confirm whether Yi Xing is a person who can keep a secret. Thinking of this, Yamanaka couldn't help but sigh slightly. According to his thinking, since his daughter has a good impression of this kid, it's not impossible to recruit a son-in-law. This is not because of the reputation of a scientific research genius. Even when Yixing was still in the ninja school and his talent was mediocre, he thought so. The Ino Shika-cho clans, unlike Hyuga and Uchiha, have no blood succession limit that needs to be passed on, so they can intermarry with foreign races. But now that Yixing has been specially recruited into the scientific research department, things are completely different. Let Ino make a marriage contract with this kid. What if he becomes a widow in the future? As a father, Haiyi was heartbroken. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Ino got up and went to open the door. He was stunned for a moment, then smiled. Uncle Lu Ju, are you here to talk to my father? Yes, Nara replied with a smile, and walked in with a lazily yawning teenager. When he saw Yixing sitting on the sofa, a meaningful look flashed in his eyes, as if nothing happened. Oh, Yixing is here too. Patriarch Lu Ju, it's a pity, I have business to discuss with Haiyi today, so I can't play shogi with you. Seeing that he said he had business to do, Yamanaka put away his laughing look and said to Ino seriously. In this way, you take Yixing and go outside to the practice meeting with Shikamaru. Although Ino has a temperament of a young lady, she obviously has a good sense of importance, and she nodded obediently in response. I see. The three left the mansion of the Yamanaka clan and came to the forest where they practiced. Shikamaru sat down directly with his back against a big tree, looked up at the sky, and complained with a bored look. Being a ninja is really troublesome. Although he said so, he only complained a few words, then closed his eyes and began to sit cross-legged. Ino is doing exactly the same movement, the only difference is that the fingertips of both hands are brought together to form a hollow circle. The family secret arts of the Nara and Yamanaka clans are different from ordinary ninjutsu. They do not use chakra, which is the 5 attributes of wind, fire, thunder, earth, and water, but the yin attribute that represents spiritual power. Therefore, their way of cultivation is mainly based on meditation. Looking at the two people who were concentrating on meditation in front of them, Yixing suddenly felt a sense of enlightenment. Congratulations, you have observed the meditation process of the Nara and Yamanaka tribes, and you have comprehended the perfect level of spiritual power cultivation method. Perhaps it is the reason why as a time traveler, he has been human in 2 lives. Yixing's mental power is inherently stronger than ordinary people, and this is one of his few talents. The ninjas of the Yamanaka and Nara clans have been passed down from generation to generation, and the strength of the yin attribute chakra in their bodies is very high. It can be said that it is not the limit of blood succession, but better than the limit of blood succession. The external performance is that the people of the Yamanaka family are good at sorting out information, while the people of the Nara family are smarter. The perfect level of mental power cultivation method is not comparable to meditation that is time-consuming and labor-intensive, and the effect is not obvious. He immediately realized how valuable this perfect level of mental power cultivation method is to Yamanaka and Nara who are practicing yin ninjutsu. This is a priceless treasure that can fundamentally increase the upper limit of a family's strength. Nara and Yamanaka, both occupy important positions in the village, and Akamaiki and Ino Shikacho took over the duties of the Konoha Guard after the Uchiha clan fell. If you can use this spiritual power cultivation method in exchange for the support of these 3 tribes, it will be much more convenient for you to do whatever you want to do in the future. Even Danzo, the old dog, dare not easily offend the deep and solid Ino Shikacho. Thinking of this, Yixing whispered to Ino who was meditating. Come with me, I have something to tell you. Ino opened his eyes, with doubts in his beautiful eyes, but he still stood up and followed him to the depths of the grove. Seeing the backs of the 2 going away, Shikamaru just glanced at them and didn't pay much attention. He's not interested in disturbing other people's dates. Gradually entering the depths of the woods, Ino looked at Yixing who was walking in front of him, and suddenly felt a little nervous. The other party, don't you think about that? Although she is usually careless, in fact, she is as ignorant as ordinary girls in this regard. If he insists, it's not impossible. Ino gritted her teeth lightly, a shy blush appeared on her pretty face. Yixing looks very handsome, even better than her classmate Uchiha Sasuke. In addition, his personality is very normal, so he is very popular among girls. Ino's competitors, she alone knows 2. In the same class as Yixing, the bald-headed girl who owns a ninja shop at home. And, The one with the pink hair and white forehead in her class. It is better to strike first than to miss the opportunity. Just when Ino was thinking wildly with anxiety, Yixing stopped and turned around. At this point, no one should be able to hear it. Hear, what? Ino's fair and tender cheeks flushed with shame from the scene imagined in his mind. Of course Yixing didn't know that the girl opposite had so much inner drama, so he just said indifferently. Recently, I have researched a spiritual power cultivation method. I don't know how effective it is, so I plan to ask you to help me experiment. Ino froze for a moment when he heard the words, and while he was relieved, he whispered with a little disappointment. Oh, so that's the case, I thought. What do you think it is? No, nothing. Ino waved his hands again and hurriedly changed the subject. Psychic training. There are many such things in our Yamanaka clan. If you need anything, I'll just go to my father and tell him. Hearing this, Yixing couldn't help laughing, thinking that Ino still has a bit of a natural dullness, which he doesn't usually see. As a member of the scientific research department, he was personally selected by 3rd Hokage and has the highest level of authority. In addition to the top-secret materials such as first-generation cells and the sealing technique of the Uzumaki family, most of the ninjutsu collected by Konoha village can be consulted. The family secrets of Yamanaka and Nara are naturally included. Although this is what he said, Ino can tell that he has made a lot of determination to show himself the secret arts of the clan. Yixing smiled and said softly, "My spiritual cultivation method may be stronger than that of your Yamanaka and the Nara clan." Hearing this, Ino hesitated to speak, and finally just curled his lips, obviously not believing Yixing's words very much. You must know that Yamanaka's and Nara's mental power training methods are the optimal solution after hundreds of generations and countless improvements. No matter how high Yixing's scientific research talent is, can he surpass the experience of thousands of people with just a few days of research? Listen well, this kind of cultivation method is mainly to mobilize the chakra in the body to continuously exert pressure on one's own brain, just like exercising muscles. At first, Ino was a little unimpressed. But when she heard the back, she was completely dumbfounded. According to the internal records of the Yamanaka family, spiritual power is spiritual power, and body is body, and the two cannot be connected together. Compared with physical training, improving one's mental strength can be said to be as difficult as climbing the sky. In the ninja world, why are illusion ninjas so rare? It is because compared with the yang attribute that can be improved through exercise, which represents vitality, almost no one knows how to exercise their own yin attribute chakra. When Yixing finally finished speaking, Ino's mouth couldn't close in shock. How did you come up with this cultivation method? Yixing smiled nonchalantly. Idle and bored, whim. Suddenly, a blush flashed across Ino's face. He lowered his head and played with the corner of his clothes, and said softly, "I didn't expect that you are so busy in Anbu every day, and you still miss me in your heart, so you specially developed this cultivation method." She raised her head and looked at Yixing with tenderness in her eyes. "I'm very touched, thank you." Even with Yixing's calm mind, he felt a little overwhelmed at this moment. What's the situation? What I said is the truth, I really realized it unintentionally. Looking at Ino's shy but joyful expression, it seems that he mistakenly thought that this is a cultivation method he specially invented for her. Good guy, is this the so-called self-strategy? Yixing laughed dumbfounded in his heart, but his face remained calm and he just nodded slightly. Well, in our relationship, you're welcome. Regardless of her status as the eldest lady of the Ino Yamanaka family, this girl has a beautiful appearance, a generous personality, and a dedicated type. How could he not like it? Although Ino is still young now, time will always pass. Just one thing, you have to remember. What's wrong? The cultivation method I taught you may not be effective yet, so don't tell other people just yet. Ino looked puzzled, but nodded obediently. Well, I see. The reason for Yixing's request is simple. The value of the perfect level mental power training method to the Nara and Yamanaka clans is really too high. If Luju and Haiyi knew that they had created such a thing, what if they went to petition 3rd Hokage to continue their research in this area and put aside the development of first-generation cells? This possibility is very small, but Yixing is a cautious person and does not want to take such a risk. Of course, it is impossible for Ino, an 11-year-old girl, to keep it a secret. By that time, though, he must have had the first-generation cells implanted. One thing to say, Ino's talent is really good. With Yi Xing's heaven-defying comprehension, others can't understand the principle of the perfect spiritual power cultivation method comprehended, and even trying to figure out how to use it is a very difficult task with a very high threshold. Ino's ability to know what it is and not know why it is already considered a talent. It can only be said that none of the 12 Shaoqiang in the original book is a simple character. In the early morning of the next day, in the Anbu building, in the laboratory. As soon as Yi Xing entered the door, he saw Sarutobi Hiruzen wearing a Hokage hat, and Azuki Shion, who had long purple hair and was not wearing a mask, had been waiting inside for a long time. The moment he saw him, Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up from his chair, walked over and smiled as if he was treating his peers. I've seen your improvement on tandem paper bombs, it's very good, it can be said that it far exceeds my expectations. Well, as long as you are satisfied. Seeing Yi Xing's indifferent appearance, Sarutobi Hiruzen was very satisfied. At such an age, you can be neither arrogant nor impetuous. Having made such a contribution and still maintaining a normal mind, it can be said to have Hokage's thinking. Cough cough. Sarutobi Hiruzen cleared his throat tactically before lowering his voice. Now, there is an S-level top-secret mission that I want to entrust to you. Hearing this sentence, Yi Xing was overjoyed, and his face remained calm. You just say it's okay. From Orochimaru's experimental records, you should already know the existence of first-generation cells, right? Well, I know something about it. Well, having said that, Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed with a helpless look on his face. To be honest, the current Nine Tails Jinchuriki does not have the power to suppress tailed beasts. The village needs to use all means to prevent the tragedy of 11 years ago from happening again. Do you understand? The tragedy in Sarutobi Hiruzen's mouth refers to the Nine Tails Rebellion that caused Konoha village's strength to fall directly to the bottom of the 5 ninja villages. The current Nine Tails Jinchuriki Naruto, because he is too young, does not seem to have inherited the special blood of the Uzumaki clan. In addition, what 4th Hokage used back then was not the seal of the Vortex family against Jinchuriki, but the seal of the ghouls who died together. So Naruto can't control the power of Nine Tails at all. If the seal fails, it is likely to go berserk directly. In Konoha village right now, no one can stand against Nine Tails except the might guy who opened the door of death. When that time comes, Konoha village is likely to end up in a ruined situation. And Senju Hashirama's wood-style power has the unique effect of suppressing the tail beast chakra. This is one of the important reasons why Sarutobi Hiruzen wants Yi Xing to crack the mystery of first-generation cells. Well, it's my job as a Konoha shinobi to contribute to the village. Hearing this sentence, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded in satisfaction, pointing at Shion next to him. From now on, she will protect you 24 hours a day, every step of the way. Remember, the first-generation cells must not be disclosed to anyone. After saying that, Sarutobi Hiruzen left the laboratory. Maoyu Shion looked at Yi Xing with a calm face, her beautiful eyes revealed a complex expression. Unexpectedly, this handsome young man had such a cruel heart. Orochimaru's human experiment records, even a ninja who has been immersed in Anbu for many years, will feel shuddering when she sees them. Is Yi Xing so calm because of his cool nature, or? He already knew. On the other side, after leaving the Anbu building, Sarutobi Hiruzen walked on the street, smiling and greeting the villagers on both sides. Hokage's power is too tempting. Even though he has been in this position for decades, he is still reluctant to let go. Deep in Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart lies an unknown thought. If Yi Xing can crack the mystery of first-generation cells, and transplant it for himself. On the other side, in the laboratory, Yi Xing looked at the several transparent glass bottles in front of him, maintaining his composure on the surface, but the excitement in his heart was indescribable. This thing is the biggest treasure in Konoha village. Reduce the side effects of Sharingan, enhance your own chakra capacity and self-healing ability, master the power of wood style. There are so many benefits of first-generation cells. As long as it is implanted, it can be said that it is completely reborn. Shion, bring me something here. Hearing him call her own name directly, Azuki Shion felt a little shy and said softly. What do you need? A scroll that records the sealing technique of the Whirlpool clan. Shi Yangziu frowned slightly, and said doubtfully. Do I need to use that thing to study first-generation cells? Yi Xing chuckled and said, I want to test whether the overactivation of first-generation cells can be suppressed by sealing. Before he could finish speaking, Xian interrupted him repeatedly by waving his hands. Okay, don't talk about it, just bring it for you. Xian thought to herself that she was a swordsman, how could she understand such profound theoretical knowledge? Not to mention her, even Master Hokage, who has the title of Professor Ninja, can't keep up with Yi Xing's thinking. Even if the other party explained it, she would definitely not understand it. Anyway, Sarutobi Hiruzen explained that during the experiment, Yi Xing had the highest level, which was equivalent to his third Hokage's access to data. Xian walked out of the room, and not long after, she came back with a stack of scrolls and put them all on the desk. All the scrolls that record the sealing technique of the Whirlpool clan are here. Well, thank you for your hard work. Yi Xing replied casually, unfolding the scroll and flipping through it. You are observing the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan. The so-called use of the sealing technique to suppress the side effects of first-generation cells was of course fabricated by him. As for how to implant first-generation cells, Yi Xing already has an idea. Throughout the history of the ninja world, there are only 3.5 people who can successfully transplant Senju Hashirama cells, leaving aside Naruto, who has already exploded in strength at the finale. Strictly speaking, there are only 3.5 people. The first one is the only surviving experimental body Tianzang in the experiment conducted by Orochimaru and Danzo, which is the leader of the new 7th class, Yamato. Although he successfully transplanted it, compared with Senju Hashirama, who is powerful enough to conquer the ninja world, the biggest use of his wood style is to build houses, which is no different from failure. The second one is that in the process of transplanting Uchiha Shin's right arm, a small amount of Hashirama cells were added to reduce the burden of so many Sharingan, Shimura Danzo. The remaining 1.5 people are Uchiha Madara with a Senju Hashirama implant in his chest, and Uchiha Obito with a half-length White Zetsu. White Zetsu was created by the sacred tree through Hashirama cells, so Obito can only be regarded as half the battle. What these two people have in common is that they both belong to the Uchiha clan. Sharingan is the embodiment of spiritual power. In other words, the Uchiha people are born with a huge yin attribute chakra. Yin chakra is the way to suppress the side effects of first-generation cells. It is no easy task to achieve this. Even Uchiha Madara, who has the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, Indra's reincarnation, has a Hashirama's face growing out of his chest due to hyperactivation. Yi Xing shook his head, thinking that the Uchiha clan has been wiped out, and now there is only one 10-year-old Sasuke who has only opened the single hook jade. It's probably too early to use the yin attribute chakra in the opponent's body to suppress the powerful first-generation cells. Anyway, at least Mangekyo level. Could it be that he wants to find that filial son? In Konoha village, or even in the entire ninja world, is there anyone who has a stronger yin escape power than Mangekyo? It seems that there really are. Yi Xing remembers that in the plot, there was a girl named Kurama Yakumo who was about the same age as 12 Xiaoqiang. The Pommel Horse clan possesses a powerful blood succession boundary that only appears every few generations. And Kurama Yakumo's ability has reached the peak in the history of the Kurama clan. She can transform the fantasies in her mind into reality. That is to say, all wishes come true. Such a powerful spiritual power means that Yakumo has extremely high-intensity yin chakra. It is most suitable for suppressing the side effects of first-generation cells. Shi Yan, what's wrong? I remember, you and Kurenai Yuhi, who just got promoted to Jonin, are the same students, right? Oh, Red. Shi Yan nodded. I'm good friends with her, what's wrong? Yi Xing didn't even raise his head, and said flatly, I want to meet her. Shi Yangziu frowned slightly, and said doubtfully. Is it an experiment? No, it's a private matter. Private matter. Azuki Xian frowned slightly, thinking that you don't even know Yuhihong, so what's the matter? Could it be, Yi Xing has taken a fancy to his friend? Thinking of this, Xian couldn't help but shook her head and smiled self-deprecatingly. How can that be possible? Yi Xing usually speaks and acts too calmly, making her forget that the other party is just a fresh graduate. Anyway, the age gap between Hong and Hong was too big. I know, I'll tell her. Half a month later, in a shop on the street, a beautiful ninja with long black curly hair and eyes as bright as rubies was biting the straw of milk tea in her hand, looking bored. Welcome. Hearing the sound of the shop door opening, Yu Hihong looked up and saw a very handsome young man in Anbu uniform walking in slowly. At first, she was a little uncertain. It wasn't until the other party sat across from her that she came back to her senses. You are Chaogiri Yi Xing. I am. No need to introduce. Yi Xing waved his hand, looked directly at Shi Hihong and smiled softly. Yuhi Kuren, who has just been promoted to Jonin recently, is a rare ninja specializing in illusion in the village, am I right? As a time traveler, he really couldn't understand this beautiful female ninja in front of him very well. In the original book, Yu Hihong doesn't have a lot of scenes. But in some works, her appearance rate is very high. It seems that you have already investigated me. Yu Hihong said something noncommittal, and then asked. I really don't understand. As a genius who was specially recruited into the scientific research department, what private matter would you have if you find me an ordinary Jonin? You have a student named Kurama Yakumo, right? Hearing Yakumo's name, Yu Hihong couldn't help being stunned. Kurama Yakumo is the most powerful person in the history of the Kurama clan, who has the most powerful blood succession limit. But while possessing powerful abilities, it also brought her a lot of burden. Kurama Yakumo has been in poor health since he was a child. This made it an unattainable luxury for her to go to the ninja school every day. Because of this incident, Yakumo resented his parents deep in his heart. If it were an ordinary girl, it wouldn't be a big deal. But the resentment in Yakumo's heart turned into reality through his own special ability. Her parents were buried in a sea of flames. After this incident, the village senior management realized that if Yakumo's ability was out of control, it would bring heavy losses to the village, so they assigned her to live in a no-man's land. Now Yi Xing suddenly mentioned Yakumo's name, what does it mean? Yu Hihong came back to her senses, and said anxiously. The place where she lives now, there is no one around, even if the ability is out of control, it will not hurt innocent people, please don't attack her. Seeing Yu Hihong's appearance, Yi Xing knew that the other party had misunderstood. To be honest, he was also very puzzled. How can an unstable factor like Yakumo survive to this day? According to the characters of Danzo and Hiruzen, she should have been disposed of long ago. From the looks of it now, it should be Yu Hihong who managed to save her disciple's life. You misunderstood. Seeing that Yi Xing didn't mean that, Shi Hihong let out a long sigh of relief, and then said in puzzlement. Then you want to. Yi Xing lowered his voice and laughed. I have a way to solve Yakumo's physical illness and the hidden dangers of her abilities. Really? Shi Hihong was so excited that she almost dropped the cup of milk tea in her hand to the ground. Yi Xing frowned slightly. You keep your voice down. I'm sorry. Shi Hongxin felt a little ashamed to be reprimanded by a boy at such an old age. Do you really have a way? Well, there are. Yi Xing answered flatly, and then asked rhetorically. Have you ever thought about how Yakumo will be arranged by the village if her physique improves and her abilities become controllable? Now that Yu Hihong has been promoted to Jonin and has become a high-end combat force in Konoha village, she has heard of some things that are confidential to ordinary people. As the saying goes, a man is not guilty, but a woman is guilty. Yakumo possesses such a powerful blood successor boundary. If it weren't for his frailty and sickness, he might have been trained as a weapon of war by the village's senior management. The best outcome is to spend a lifetime as the Jinchuriki's caretaker. Yu Hihong didn't want to see her students end up like this. It seems that you have figured it out. Yi Xing said calmly. Since this is the case, the best way to deal with it is to keep this matter a secret. You and I, as well as Yakumo, need to know for ourselves. There is no need to report to the village. How can this work? Unexpectedly, Yi Xing stood up immediately after hearing this sentence. In that case, goodbye. Hey, wait a minute. In a panic, Yu Hihong directly grabbed Yi Xing's hand. As long as I can solve her problem, I agree to your terms. Okay, let's go. It wasn't until Yu Hihong and Yi Xing left the shop that she asked belatedly. Where are you going? Yi Xing glanced at her and said calmly. Of course I went to find Yakumo, or did I take you to a hot spring hotel? Kurenai Yuhi was made to feel ashamed and angry by these words, but thinking that the other party was Yakumo's only savior, she still endured it. Seeing her reaction, Yi Xing was very satisfied. Of course, he didn't just have nothing to do, and deliberately molested Shihahong, just to test the other party's attitude. Since she can endure her own rudeness, it shows that Kurenai Yuhi really cares about Yakumo. That way, she can keep it a secret. Yi Xing is not those ninjas who have been brainwashed by the will of fire. How could he tell the senior management of Konoha village about the transplantation method of first-generation cells? This power can only be possessed by him alone. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.